You're listening to In Bed with Her Guy, a tale that explores love, desire, and everything that stirs the heart. An audiobook by Yinka Akran. Sit back, relax, and let's begin. Chapter 1. It was a rare sunny day for the season. Open bright sky set a pleasing background behind Aisa's workstation, but she took no notice, for her thoughts were elsewhere. Maybe I went too far. The question plagued her still, as much as the reasons for her action, which was very simple really. Each time she recalled those awful instances in the past months when she'd laid back and accepted being intimate with Daeho, even though she wasn't enjoying any emotional or physical satisfaction, she felt justified. The actions from the last time seemed to have created some catalytic effect, but it bothered her why it's taken her till now to finally accept that being together was no longer a joy, and that intimacy had become a trauma. She realized that something was bound to give after the shower scene, but the state of things, as she continued to perceive them, was worrying. This thought was threatening to driving her crazy, for she was always so proactive and have operated that way all her life. Finishing school, she had known the exact direction she wanted her career to go and had worked hard to achieve that. Then, she had successfully rebounded from a nasty relationship, pulling herself together until Daeho came along and asked her to marry him. The only gray area in my successful life remains my romantic life. It bothered her a great deal that this present relationship might fail too, if she was unable to get Daeho to see what was really happening to them. There was no questioning her feelings. She was still in love with him, although not as completely and freely as she had loved once. She could do nothing about that, for he continues to make it really hard to be loved the way she had loved when she was with Jeff. He was sweet and playful while he courted her, but that changed. His true personality had become unveiled as they grew more comfortable with each other. She began to know the real him, a stiff guy brought up by parents already in their middle 40s before he came along. Old money folks who grew up in a world where they lacked for nothing and believed everyone who didn't belong in their circle was there to do their bidding. Daeho and his sister went to boarding schools with other kids raised in similar background, mixed and mingled in highbrow circles, attending charity balls and fundraising dinners for political, health and social organizations, especially his mom Save the Poor projects. His family gave freely to people in need but interacted and treated their pets better. These were shocking revelations, but she was already in love with him and thinking she might be able to show him that life could also be fun. She had set out to do just that, starting with the little things. It was hard to get him to do regular stuffs like eating in places that didn't include those highbrow restaurants where his family loved to dine. Going to a park for a picnic or a nightclub where he had to mix with people whose families didn't have membership running into 2 or 3 generations was out of the question. They were some of the things she loved doing. Attempting to do anything at the spur of the moment was near impossible, because his spare time, including weekend, was already planned by his mom. So, for a long time, she went along to boring events, mixed with people who mostly turned up their noses for her views and opinions, because they can see his mother doing just that. And, because she often showed up in local designs. The night his sister suggested she might want to look through her wardrobe for something more appropriate, she had lost some of her cool. Kunbi was well aware she had enough designer outfits of her own, and she didn't have to tell her that, but most of the anger was directed towards Daeho, who had stood there, watching, saying nothing in her defense. After that she had started insisting he follow her out to places where she wanted to be. It was only fair that he experienced some of her world too. He protested. He couldn't understand what the problem was, or why she was refusing to fit in. He questioned why his girl would rather be somewhere else rather than with him, at the places where he belonged and is most comfortable. Eventually he had accepted some of her invitations, only to get her back to attending functions with him again. But it was hard. Daeho took out the fun in everything. He stood out because he acted like he was better than the people present, including her friends. It was impossible to relax and have fun as she would have loved to, as she should. They could not enjoy a walk on the beach because he fretted about getting his designer shoes and tailored pants wet and dirty. She had told him his outfit was wrong for the outing, but he wore them anyway. He considered going to see a movie at the mall lame, especially since they could watch in their surround home theater that comfortably sits a dozen people. When he finally agreed to go on a movie date, he complained so much she asked if he wanted them to leave. She was hurt by how quickly he jumped to his feet. Eventually she had given up most of the things she loved, settling instead to enjoy them with her girlfriends. But then being with her girls is not the same as being with her guy. She sighed, reclining further into the chair as her mind traveled back to those times when her life was gay, when she could laugh and enjoy the simple things of life, all the things she had been able to share with Jeff too. Feeling guilty, she put her head on the glass table, but the quilt lasted only a few seconds, for her thoughts were really not about Jeff. It was just that her life had been even more fun at that period of her life when they dated. Jeff was the most perfect boyfriend ever. He was sweet, attentive, unselfish, caring, and sex was incredible too. Being separated, they had kept in touch with loads of wild texts and chats messages. These set the tone for that moment when Jeff returned, carrying a duty-free bag. He placed it gently on the coffee table, then pulled her in for a deep, demanding kiss that made her legs wobble. Grateful for his strong arms, she kissed him back, feeling the tips of his fingers around her waistline. They trailed the bare skin of her back where her crop top did not cover, then they tippy-toed into her tank, sending shots of electric current through her body. His fingers worked their way up to her shoulder blades in a light massage, then back to her belly area, all these as he continued to kiss her. When the fingers tickled her rib cage, she chuckled. He laughed too. Gosh, how I've missed you. I missed you too. I've looked forward to this moment, when I can hold you in my arms, like this, look into your dreamy eyes and tell you how much you mean to me. He kissed her again, then reached into the bag, pulling out a bottle liquor and 2 glasses. See, you don't even have to go into the kitchen, he added with a grin. She laughed. She was getting used to the crazy, sometimes very unnecessary little things he did to get a laugh out of her. What are we drinking to this time? To you, he answered. Is there even a question about that? His lips quivered against hers before he went on to plant the softest of kisses on her cheeks, forehead, eyes, and nose. The touch of his lips felt like the fluttering of butterfly wings. That was when the song crossed her mind, one of her best classic love songs. Without thinking, she started to sing.